We have a 2003 Volkswagen Golf GTI 1.8 liter turbo, and we have a problem with the secondary air injection system. I'll show you how to diagnose and repair it. So we scan the car. Here you go. We have a secondary air injection, incorrect flow detected. Now we're gonna exit out of the trouble code menu, go into output tests, run a test and see which part of it is not working, or we could determine if it has a leak or electrical problem. Start activating stuff. Now you gotta activate the secondary air injection control solenoid. This needs to be ticking. When it's ticking, it means it's working. And it might be still physically not working, but the electrical part of it is working. Now we activated the pump. You could hear that the pump went on, so that means the pump is working. The solenoid is ticking, so it's working. It means that most likely we have a problem with the either a vacuum line or a feed line for the combi valve, or maybe the combi valve itself. Okay, if you run the output tests and everything checks out, the solenoid and the pump is activating properly, go to codes menu, write down any other codes that you had in there. Make sure you to address them later and see if they come back. Clear the codes. Go to the code menu, start the car up. You have to let the car run for about 2 minutes. Then go to basic settings. Secondary air injection system is channel number 77. Hit go and see this field. Once it's gonna turn on, test on, it's gonna mean that the car is running a test on the secondary air injection system. Right now the car didn't run long enough for the test to go on. The car has got to be at normal operating temperature, and it's got to be running for at least 2 minutes. So wait for it to warm up, let it run 2 minutes, and then go into this screen again. So we let the car run for about 10 minutes. Now we're gonna go back to basic settings, group 77, hit enter. See the test started. See this percentage rising so much, so fast. That usually means that there is a problem, either a leak or blockage somewhere, or maybe a combi valve is not opening. So we're gonna wait for the test to finish. If the system is okay, it's gonna say system okay over here. I hear the pump stopped. Let's see what it says. It's either gonna throw some codes or just quit the test and yep, just stop the test. Check the fault codes. We didn't get any fault codes yet, but we're pretty positive that there is either a blockage or a leak in there. So we're gonna start checking the combi valve and the supply hose system for leaks or blockage. We have the engine running. We have a combi valve right there behind the cylinder head. There's a little vacuum port on the combi valve. Disconnect the vacuum line, connect the We have a vacuum tester, vacuum pump, hand pump. Connect the pump to it. That way you could check if the valve is operating at all. Once you start pumping the vacuum, you should hear how the exhaust port with the combi valve opens, and the engine should change the noise. The sound of the engine should change. That doesn't happen. Try to disconnect the air hose that goes to the combi valve. Right here. If the combi valve is working. This should open. Yep. Connect the vacuum line back to the combi valve. Go further. Alright, now turn off the car. Go back to output tests and activate the secondary air pump and see piece of flowing air through here. There it goes. So we got that figured out. So we'll take the nuts off the secondary air injection supply hose. Be very careful with this hose. It's very brittle. It'll break it very easily. Disconnect the hose over here by pressing on the sides of the connector. Right here. Wiggle it a little by little. Disconnect it. Once again, be very careful with the hose. Do not break it. It is very expensive. Secure it somehow so it stays on the side. You gotta take those two 5mm Allen bolts out, flip the bracket and see what's going on with the vacuum line. Okay, so we took the bracket off, we checked all the lines, and we found that one of the hoses was broken. The one that connects to the intake manifold right over here underneath. It was broken right there. So there was no vacuum going into the secondary air injection combi valve. Now we're gonna reconnect all the hoses and start the test again and check it now. Okay, so we replaced that line that goes to the manifold. So we'll fix the vacuum leak. Now we're gonna run the test again and see if it works out now. Alright, channel number 77. Go in. Wait for the test to start. Remember, you get to let the car run for about 2 minutes, and prior to that you gotta clear the codes, because if there was some sort of error, you might not even have the trouble codes yet. The codes might be solved, but might not be in the error code menu, in the fault code menu. Just clear the codes anyways, reset the ECU, and wait for the test to start. Okay, so group 77, the test starts. You see the percentage with the secondary airflow mass goes up a lot. Means that there is still some sort of problem with the system and it will not pass the test. So now we're gonna look into functionality of the solenoid. The secondary air injection control solenoid is this one in the end. This is the vacuum feed line, feeds the vacuum to the solenoid. This is the little line that goes to the combi valve. So now we're gonna pull the lines off and check how the solenoid is functioning. But we gotta shut off the car now. Pull the feed line off the solenoid and try to blow through it. Normally this side is supposed to be closed. So try to blow through it and see if it blows through. Alright. It does not blow through, so it's closed. Then ignition on, go back to the output test. Scroll down to the secondary air system solenoid, control solenoid. We hear some ticking. Disconnected. Huh. Funny. The second solenoid over here is the overboost protection solenoid. And apparently somebody misplaced the plugs on the solenoids. And now instead of the secondary air injection solenoid, we have a overboost protection valve clicking. Alright, now we got the right solenoid clicking. Now it looks like it's working. It kind of works. Kind of hard to pull through it, but should be working fine. Alright, so we fixed the locking line. We found that the connectors in the secondary air injection solenoid and the overboost protection valve were swapped around. They weren't connected properly. They're misplaced. And that the secondary air injection control solenoid wasn't opening all the way, so it wasn't letting as much air through. Now we connected everything back. We're gonna run the basic settings, the secondary air injection, and test it again. So channel number 77, test on. See the percentage? Doesn't go up as high anymore. Only stays like 2-3%. Now let's see what it says. Alright, sometimes you might have to go and do basic settings for all the oxygen sensors before you could do basic settings for secondary air injection. Like in our case, it would turn off the test for secondary air injection until we did the test roll for all oxygen sensors. It didn't go through. Now see, if you go to group 77, it says OK. To do the basic settings and oxygen sensors, they start at group 30. You go in here, you see those two front or first two cells. This one's gotta be 111 at the end, this one's gotta be 110. You gotta let her idle until you see those numbers. Now just go up every channel, check for those that have tests in them, and you gotta do those tests. Like this one, this is number 34. You're gonna have to press the brake pedal and keep the car at around 2000 RPMs. Some cars they limit the throttle, so you gotta floor the car and it's gonna keep it at the spot where it needs to be. Some cars don't, so you just gotta keep it like around 2000 RPMs. And this one, number 36, you just let her idle until you see bank 1 sensor 2 OK or not OK. This one is the same thing. It's probably gonna go through while you're doing the first one. Now number 43, yeah, this one you're gonna have to keep it at 2000 RPMs as well. Make sure you keep the brake pedal pressed all the way and keep it at that RPM range. And number 46 would be the catalytic converters. We didn't do that test yet, that's why she doesn't say cat OK or not. Just you gotta do the same thing. You gotta press the brakes and keep it at 2000 RPMs, but we haven't done that one yet. We're gonna do it when we're gonna have to take the car through state emissions. Alright, so our secondary air injection is working properly now. Let me go over the things, the components of the system. Right over here you have one of those relays is a secondary air injection relay. Right down there, that shiny thing with the writing in it. Probably used to be a junkyard valve. That's a combi valve. This thing is supposed to be normally closed, opens with vacuum, and supposed to hold vacuum. If you have a vacuum pump, just pump the vacuum on a fitting on the side of the valve down there. It's supposed to hold the vacuum. And this is the air feed line for the valve. It's supposed to be closed unless you open it with the vacuum. If it's leaking, if it's letting the air through, the valve is no good. Now we have a air hose that goes from the combi valve, goes down to the secondary air pump. We have a secondary air injection system control solenoid right over here, this one. From the front over here, this line is a vacuum feed line. It's connected to the car's vacuum system. From this side, the valve is usually closed unless it's activated. So it's gotta be closed, it cannot leak. If it's leaking, it's bad. If it's closed, it should be good. From the side over here on the valve, there's a vacuum line that goes to the combi valve. That one is vented into the atmosphere unless the valve is open, unless the valve is activated. So you could activate the valve with 12 volts if it's doing like it should be. This one is closed when not activated. That line is open into the air. Once you activate it, this line is supposed to be connected to that line. Now, and down there, deep inside, it's probably easier to see it from under the car, is our secondary air injection pump. That's about it.